That was awesome. Welcome to the basement. That's Bassmint for those can't spell. That was wonderful, man. Tell us your name, sir.
Eli Eisenberg.
All right, Eli, man, we about to, I can't wait to ask this dude some questions. But first, I gotta acknowledge the squad, the team. So starting on my fret hand side, we're gonna go to that first guy. Tell us your name, Pope.
Well, my name is Pope, Pope Star, Popalicious, Popetropolis, and I'm from Belleville, Michigan, and I have a bass mod. It's all poped out.
And what he means by Pope, translate that's the color orange, right?
Color orange.
Now, with that being said, everybody knows this guy. He's always wearing orange and all that. What's your favorite color?
Green.
that blows me away. Next to him, tell us your name, Joe.
I'm just Joe.
All right.
Novel roller coaster Joe's Joe Griffin out of Canton. I also like orange. Capri.
See?
Yeah. What kind of bass is that?
That is just a standard P bass. Made in Mexico.
All right, and
flash it.
I like to also say about Joe, he's going to be a forthcoming interview in the future. This is one of my former students.
All right.
Who plays that other thing? What is it called? The guitar. He plays guitar as well, and now he's currently studying under the great. And I ain't playing when I say great, Brad Russell. That is one of Detroit's finest bass players that don't get the love, in my opinion, that he's deserved. Next to him, thank you, Joe. Next to Joe, tell us your name.
That would be Robert Lopaka Luckett out of Southgate, Michigan.
And what you got in your hand there?
This is a Sterling sub with Roar strings on it.
I like that bass, man.
Yeah, it's my go-to. I practice with it every day. I got about maybe 3 or 4 of them, different basses. But this one here is comfortable. It fits good in my hand. This is like the one I go to the bathroom with.
Inside job, y'all. Look, that is a current student of mine.
Yes.
And next to Parker, who do we got?
Chris Louie. I live up in the road in Royal Oak, and normally I wear a Red Wings hat, but I'm proud to wear your bass hat today.
Yeah, that we're gonna talk about that in just a second. Next to Chris is, tell us your name, Chris.
Chris Reed.
So we got another Chris, and what's that you got in your hand?
American jazz bass.
American.
Diodarios.
There you go. I love that jazz bass. You changed the pickups in it, right?
Did, yep, put some hot EMGs in it.
And what kind of bass is that you got, Chris?
So I got a 5-string Ibanez. Means a lot to me. My brother gave it to me a few weeks back because he stopped playing, and just a beautiful instrument.
That's awesome. Okay, now, sorry about that, Eli. I got a few more to go. On my fret hand side, tell us your name, Reg.
Reginald Gay, out of Southfield, actually Inkster, Southfield, Detroit.
And what's that you got in your hand, sir?
Sire Series, Marcus Miller, I call it a jazz copy because it's so close to my jazz Fender.
Okay, yeah, that's how you like that sire bass.
I like it. It's reminiscent of my first bass, which I still own. I got back in the way back in the late 70s.
We're gonna also interview this guy today, so expect that. And next to him, tell us your name.
Well, my name is Twan Green, and this here is my Lakeland 5502. I call her Cinnamon.
See, that is awesome, Twan. We're also going to interview this guy later on in the day as well. So, yeah, go ahead and laugh. That's funny. Inside job again, folks. Now, next to him, tell us your name, sir.
Hi, my name is Matteo Micoletta. I'm out of Livonia, and this is a Guitar Center Special. It's an Ibanez. It's just, for me, it's a nice bass to play. I play guitar mostly, but this is just something to get, practice on and just learn scales and stuff. And stickers cost extra. I had to put those on myself. But yeah,
That's dope.
Very happy to be here. Thank you.
And our gracious host who invited us in to use his electricity. He's been, Steve has been offering his basement for several years. We got to re-interview him eventually, but thank you for allowing us to come in your basement, Steve. What's your name, Steve?
My name's Steve Burkhalter.
And what did you got?
I have my Chinese Sadowski. I've got another Sadowski over there, Metro, and I like Sadowskis. And this is a PJ. My other one's a Willie J bass. And yeah, been playing for a long time. I'm 67, and I've been playing since I was about 13.
Okay, he said
I play like a guy who's been playing for about 2 years.
and he called that a PJ, meaning a precision jazz.
Yeah, precision pickup here.
Right.
I like the pickup covers.
Right. I hate covers. I take mine off. I almost left them on because Marcus Miller.
God still loves you.
But I'll never. I learned something about that. But enough of me. Thank you, Eli. Now, for those who don't know, Eli has come to hang out in the basement here in Oak Park. This is our new basement, if you hadn't noticed. We do have a bass. They pronounce it bad, but that's a bass on the wall. So we working on getting it more bassy. We might put some, as soon as we get some sponsors that has a banner, hint, hint, we'll put your banners up behind it. But thank you, Eli. Eli has come to us all the way from Toronto, Canada. And to hang out with us in the basement. Also, Eli is an excellent bass player out of Canada. We're about to get into all of that. So my first question to you, Eli, is when did you start playing the bass and why?
Well, it definitely chose me. And what I mean by that is I had my sights set on being, playing guitar and play along with records with a tennis racket. I was that cool. But then in grade 8 or 8th grade, I think. Do you say 8th grade here or?
Yes.
We say grade 8 over there. In grade 8, there was a music teacher, a new music teacher at my junior high school. He was actually an expat American, and he was and still is a very accomplished bass player on electric and upright, double bass, classical, and he was just starting his music career, his music teaching career. He was in his early 30s, and he really wanted to take on some students, you could tell. And so I managed to get in, and one other guy who was a year older than me. And incidentally, the guy who was a year older than me was the neighborhood bully. He was a rough guy, but I think playing bass was served him well. And in the stage band, he played the first year, and I don't think he was necessarily any better, but it was a seniority thing. Maybe he wanted the older guy to get first dibs. But yeah, so I started taking lessons from from Mr. Carruthers, Sam Carruthers in grade 8, and here I am in Detroit all these years later.
That is awesome. And I gotta get this out of the way. It's a curiosity thing.
Sure.
What in the hell is that on your head, brother?
Well, if you don't know that, I don't know. I'll say myself out there. It is an amazing hat and logo brand of Detroit bass players that was generously gifted to me by Ivan Big Eye Williams.
Okay, so basically that hat, we're selling them for a fundraiser. That bass player that's on the hat is basically a bass player running. It's a double entendre. You see his feet running, but that's just symbolic of the bass player that's on there. That's a unisex bass player, by the way. That's not a man, that's not a woman, that's not a child, that's not a grown-up. It's a unisex for all, adjustable, in case you got a big head. It's adjustable. I don't do fitted caps. But that's what that is, and it's an In the Basement logo. Detroit bass players In the Basement logo, not the Detroit bass players logo. Got to get that straight. And you might have seen these guys back to back. Hey Joe. Hey Joe, that's a song. He has one. Thank you for the purchase for the donation. Parker has one. Thank you for the donation. Chris has one. Thank you for the donation. And yes, if you want one, Twan got one too.
Mine's in my bag, Dad.
Yeah, and if you want one to help us raise funds for, what are we raising funds for? We're raising funds for scholarships. We're gonna divide them out as $100 free music lesson, $100 scholarships. So that way you don't have to choose me as an instructor. You can choose Brad Russell or Eddie Cohen or some of the other great instructors. You teach too?
Yep.
Oh, okay. We'll get that in the interview that we got coming up with him. So yeah, that $100 scholarships, that's what the hats are for. Second question, I'm not going to count them out, but I'm so curious. What is the scene like for bass players and musicians alike in Canada, and namely Toronto?
Well, Toronto is the biggest city in Canada, and it's actually between the United States and Canada, it's the 4th largest city behind New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago. I never knew that until recently. So it's a big city, and as far as the rest of Canada is concerned, there's Montreal. They've got a good scene there, and Vancouver, a bit more West Coast. But I don't think there's quite the opportunities there to to be as busy enough to make a living. But Toronto's got a good scene. It's very diverse now, very multicultural. When I first started playing in the 90s, it was multicultural to the point where I could play in R&B bands, I could play in salsa bands, Brazilian bands, and calypso. There was kind of the Americas going on, and now it's like there's representatives from every country. So it's much more diverse now. So you can look at that as good, or you could look at it as maybe it's a little all over the place or a little unfocused. But there's some great jazz musicians in Toronto for sure. And within the past 20 years, there's been an influx from Cuba, and those guys don't mess around. I tell you, they really have their own approach, and they're amazing. So it's kind of elevated the level of musicianship.
Okay, so I did some reading up on stuff about you, and one of your favorites as a youngster was rock music, and then when you just talking about the grade of 8, you started playing and you got introduced early to jazz, and you played, was it the upright or just the electric bass?
I played electric bass for a few years before. I also played piano, and classical piano, so I knew how to read, and I did theory, or I studied theory a little bit after. I took the exams and stuff. So for me, learning bass through my teacher, I was doing a lot of reading. And when I played in the stage band, I was reading the parts, and it sort of seeped in naturally. And then a couple years later, I started taking lessons with a guy who was just a few years older than me, and he started, introducing me to Weather Report and Jaco Pastorius. And you mentioned earlier Alain Caron. He's the bass player for Uzeb, and he's been more of a solo guy, but he plays 6-string fretless bass. And he still is the country's top jazz electric bass player by far. Yeah.
So he's from Canada?
Yes, from Montreal.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Awesome guy. First heard him with Frank Gabelli, and then I did the research. That's what I do. And I saw he had an album and a video. And on that video, you remember the song called something Clown?
Slam the Clown. Yeah.
What's it called?
Slam the Clown.
Slam the Clown. Bang, bang, but I'm saying, and the dude is thumping that stuff like his thump technique. He had to practice like 1 billion hours to come up with that. What'd you think? Did you?
Well, I first saw him play in the early '80s with Uzeb, and the very first time he was playing a 4-string fretless bass. And he had a 4-string Fender Jazz knockoff fretted that he would slap on. So he went back and forth between those two. But then, after that, I'm trying to remember, eventually he became a representative for F basses, Furlanetto, based out of Hamilton. And so his whole thing now is he has a 6-string fretless and a 6-string fretted. He only slaps on the fretted. And he only plays finger style on the fretless. So he's very focused, and a virtuoso like none others. So, yeah.
But okay, so speaking of him, one of my favorite bass players. But who are some of your top favorite bass players?
Well, right now, I've got this kind of affection for Carol Kay's work because she's such a stalwart genius of the studios, and I like her approach, even though I don't really play like her. I just like the pick and the flat wound stuff, and just her whole legacy of recordings and stuff like that. Of the younger bass players, I like Tal Wilkenfeld. I like Henrik Linder from
Yes.
Dirty Loops.
Yeah, Dirty Loops, bass killer.
And I also really like David Pastorius, Jaco's nephew.
Who's been in the basement, by the way, came all the way from Florida.
Plays bass with us. Oh wow, yeah. So those are the younger guys I appreciate, and I started off listening to Geddy Lee. When I first started playing bass in grade 8, Moving Pictures came out, and also Another One Bites the Dust was #1 with the Bullet when I started playing. So all this amazing bass coming at me. So I like the rock guys, John Paul Jones, and then slowly started learning about this style. I knew what jazz was, but I hadn't listened too much to it. My parents had a few Billie Holiday records and stuff like that, but there wasn't a lot of jazz in the household.
Yeah, that jazz is fusion jazz. It's like that is my favorite genre of music. Now, speaking of genres, what music do you like, and what music do you play currently?
Well,
in the past, all of it.
I'm very much in my own kind of zone right now, but the music that I like is the music that I grew up with. It's always jazz infused. It could be R&B, a bit of reggae. I like playing classical guitar, and some classical, cello stuff is good practicing practicing on the bass. So what else? Jazz, the usual suspects: jazz, R&B, rock.
Okay, but that brings up when you said that I listened to some compositions of yours. You have, how many albums do you have out, bro?
2.
Just 2?
Yeah.
And the music is great, and the musicians on it are awesome. What's the name of both of your albums?
Well, only one is available right now online. It's called the Iceberg Project, because my last name's Eisenberg, so I'm kind of throwing shade at myself. And that's on cdbaby.com, so you can check that out. And the first one was called Room with a Groove. It was kind of my attempt at being Quincy Jones and producing and playing, well, just using a lot of different singers and stuff like that on an album. So, but that one's not available online because I did it back in 2001, and for some reason I haven't made it available.
Where is it? We can't buy it, is what you're saying?
Not at the moment. If
we can't even listen to it right now.
I'm feeling bad. No. Well, I still have a few boxes. So if my
you said a few boxes.
I still have a few. I'm not the greatest salesman. I'm just gonna put that out there right now.
But the compositions are great. So
thank you.
I don't know if somebody listening to this, they want to take this and make this man blow the dust off of these
blow it off
these albums. But that's awesome. Now, and also you played with some great Canadian. Maybe they're not even from Canada, but the work was started in Canada. Some great singers, and you went on the road with these people too, right?
Not really on the road. There were some out of town gigs, but never any extended road trips.
Now tell us, because I want to listen to these. Tell us a couple of the people that celebrity type dudes that you played with.
Well, there's a guy in Toronto. His name's George Oliver, and he had his first hit single with a band called the Mandela in 1967, the year I was born, and they were, somebody who was around at that time said that for about 2 weeks the Mandela was the biggest group in the world.
Wow.
Even with the Beatles and all the other, bands there. So they really had a lot of success with this song called Opportunity, and the Mandela stayed together for a few more years, but then he continued to form new bands, and then by the time the 80s rolled around, he was sort of more of a solo guy. He had his own band, George Oliver and Gangbuster, and I remember when I was like a teenager opening Now magazine. It was like the arts and culture magazine of Toronto, and have a full page ad, George Oliver and Gangbuster at the Blue Note. So he was a big name, and I started playing with him around '94. He wasn't too keen on me playing with him because he didn't know me. It's a funny story. The first time I worked with him, it was in a town called Barrie, Ontario, which is about an hour north of Toronto. And his regular bass player I don't know what happened. He called me and he needed a last minute sub, and he had all the confidence in me, and I went up and did the set up early, and then George came in about 10 minutes before the gig, and I introduced myself. And then he looks at the keyboard player and says, "Tony, play lots of left-hand bass tonight." But, I know it's pretty cold, but
right.
He warmed up to me pretty quick. He thought I did a good job.
Yeah, my thing with keyboard players is put your left hand in your pocket. Because I amputate left hands on keyboard players.
But can I get a glass of water?
He can do that left hand.
I don't mean to laugh.
Yeah, everybody's a little parched here.
Yes.
But that's what that heat, that hot seat to do to you, bro.
This whole Canadians as being nice and polite,
Yeah.
So that was '94, and I worked with him right up until 2017, and so that's a good 20.
It's a good one.
Yeah, good run.
And it was another heavy hitter that you reminded me that you used to play with. Name, who was that?
Aubrey Mann.
And how was that? Yeah, what kind of music was it, and how was
It
it?
was kind of retro R&B. It was, he was kind of a crooner, but he also sang upbeat songs. He was originally from Guyana, and he spent some time in Barbados, and then he was in Toronto. And he was a kind of a contemporary of the other guy I told you about, George Oliver. And I did hotels and clubs, and thanks so much. Pardon me, guys. Thank you.
That's okay. That's okay. Drink that bass juice.
I don't think I was
That's called bass juice.
One more syllable in there. It was just so.
That's Detroit water. It's good water.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's
Detroit water.
That's
Good water.
great water.
Yeah, I'm selling bass water.
So you also the singer played with a group called R&B group called the Reflections.
Yeah. When I first worked with Aubrey, it was a hotel gig. It was a 6-night a week gig in like 1989, and it was just under his name. But he had a group called Reflections where he had 2 other singers, and they did Motown, R&B from the 70s, 80s, and then it later turned into a Motown show, I think. Anyways, the names would sort of shift around from here and there, but he did have a vocal group called Reflections, but with a live band behind too.
Look, Eli, man, I am so glad that you made it here to hang out with us.
Thank you.
In the basement. That's BASSMINT. And I'm so glad that you saw a couple of episodes. And I forgot to mention, and when I first started talking to this guy, and then I clicked his name to go to his Facebook page, guess who is pinned to the top of his page, and ain't no telling how long it's been pinned on the top of his page. Tell us who's pinned to the top of your page.
The late great Mr. Reginald Canty.
So this is before I met and talked to him. I'm spying and go to his page. Reginald Canty, y'all should go to his page. I'm gonna give y'all the information in a minute. But on his page, Reginald Canty is talking about some exercises that he learned from Eli, from one of his pages. So when I met him, I was like, this is a small world. This guy gotta know who I am. Sometimes I get jealous of Reggie in the basement, cause they be like, yeah, Reggie in the basement.
Yeah.
I like, so am I. Every time Reggie in the basement, I am too. But I'm just playing about jealous. It was just a small world scenario that he got pinned to the top of his page. Reginald Canty talking about him and some exercises. He provides multiple exercises, and what else do you provide on social media that you share with us other bass players?
Yeah, just practice related stuff and play along stuff as well.
Do you teach?
I teach, yeah. I have a few students at home, but I'm always putting out the plug here. I'm always looking to do some Skype.
Well, we're gonna try to get you some more students over there in Toronto. Now, you don't have to do it. They don't have to be local, do you? Can you Skype?
Yep.
Or online teach, Zoom, I guess.
Yeah, I got Skype. I think I have Zoom, or even through FaceTime. You can do some kind of a.
Right. Okay. So we're gonna get that information in just a second.
I wanted to give a bit of context to if I may, the Reginald thing, because he was the one when I applied to. When I just expressed interest in joining this group. He actually called me just to talk a bit, and first thing he says is, if you're in this group, you're automatically cool. There's people from all around the world, and I said, you're not getting any argument from me. And the exercise that he really liked was just instead of playing the modes. Oh, sorry. Where it kind of sounds like you're playing
Phrygian?
Yeah, you just play them starting on the same
the root note of the
so G Ionian and then G Dorian, right? So that way you really hear more, and then G Phrygian, and you hear.
I love Phrygian.
Yeah, and he liked that approach when he posted that thing of him playing. He and I still don't understand it to this day exactly, but he said that exercise helped him with shifting, playing that particular solo that he was playing in that. Anyways, it was a really impressive video where he learned note for note. I think it was an upright bass solo, but he played it on his 6-string fretless. And even Jeff Berlin said that was the most in tune fretless playing you'd ever heard. You know,
Wow.
so, yeah.
About Reggie. That's what
Yeah,
Jeff
yeah.
said.
Really?
Jeff Berlin said that about Reginald Canty's
Yeah.
intonation
Yeah.
Wow.
is spot on. But we already knew that.
I know.
But that was awesome to put that in context. So one of the other things is, I'm just being nosy now. Do you speak French too?
I speak French and I teach French too in the school system. Yeah.
Look, man, I ain't want to keep you, right? But I did want to know if anybody else had any questions for this fine bassist. So go ahead, Chris.
So when you opened up and that chord melody sounded real nice, what chord tones are you mostly using to outline those?
Well, it depends on the melody. So with that particular example, it's a Duke Ellington tune, maybe Sentimental Mood. So that's the melody just on its own, and the chord is D minor, right? But then it does the descending, so you add that in.
Okay.
And it does the same thing on the G minor.
What's the name of that song? Because I know I heard it.
Yeah, Sentimental Mood.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So
you're hitting a lot of third and seventh?
oh yeah, this the butter notes as they say, but
And he's saying third and seventh. Y'all, I'm getting excited over here.
yeah. But that's actually
Very time.
the melody note is that's the 4th or the 11th.
I learned blues at a chord melody and I forgot it. I haven't done it so long.
So we not today. Go ahead.
So, do you have your own band?
It's complicated. I did a solo. I did.
I'm nosy, so.
No. I did a solo gig.
Curious.
The first one since the pandemic a couple of days ago, and I did some solo stuff, and I played along with some tracks that I would like to eventually become the band. You know, so.
Now, what's the name of the band?
Oh, it's just
Still
me.
be?
Yeah,
Okay.
just me.
Okay.
It's tough. It's tough out there in Toronto too to get gigs and
Yeah.
and do they like it? They try to lowball you. All musicians when we play, they like we worth more than what they offering. So, is it the same out
We can
there?
help you with your exposure.
Well,
Right.
the average club gig would pay around somewhere between 150
Per
to 200. That's Canadian.
Right.
That's Canadian dollars, so that's more like 100 to 120 US.
Is that 3 sets?
Yeah, 3 sets. You know,
There we go.
345s, 345 minutes. That's
what it pays in the
Johnny-
70s or what? That's what it pays
That's
now?
what it pays now.
Yeah, I know. Well, when I first started though, there were some $50 gigs floating around, you know, and it's like, no, I mean those were
Still is.
yeah, but they've been replaced with $75 gigs. So
Now here they still 50.
Maybe $20.
Right, 20, yeah.
Inflation was.
They can catch you.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah, and that's awesome that we don't complain that much, but just curious about that. So anybody else have any more questions for this fine Toronto basis?
Question for me. As far as bass rig, what's your preference?
well, that's a great question because Mark Bass was not really around in the 90s when I started. And I went, you know, I struggle with the live sound, and I had an Eden cabinet, and one time I had remember PV Mega Bass heads? So they were all good when you played them on their own, but once I started, because I kind of took a hiatus when I got my when I became a teacher, but then I came back and it's like, oh, there's this company called Mark Bass, you know, and one guy was talking about how beautiful they sounded, and I thought, how can it sound beautiful? It's just got to sound I mean, that sounded kind of cynical, but once I started playing Mark Bass, it's like, wow, I can hear everything perfectly. So I'm pretty sold on them right now.
If we want to follow and keep up with you and look at your body of work, do you have social media stuff?
Yeah, I mean, there's Facebook. I have a YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/BassieJazz, BASSIE Jazz. So I have some of my work up there. Yeah, I was on Instagram, but not anymore. And
I know. So what's your Facebook page?
just Eli Eisenberg.
And do you have your own website or anything?
Not at the moment, but
Okay, well, I'm telling you, we had such a pleasure
Thank you.
for you coming to hang out with us all the way from Toronto, Canada. And we're glad you made it here safely on this fine Saturday, January the 18th of the fine new year of 2025. Eli, is there anything you'd like to say in closing?
Well, I mean this. I think this whole group is one of a kind. I don't know if there are any other, big music centers that have their own bass player group. If they do, I haven't seen them. So I think it's just amazing that you have such a passion for the instrument and for music in general. And so I thank you. I thank the late great Reggie too.
Thank you very much. And if you can just play us out, just a little something, just real quick. Just a couple of seconds of it. You don't have to play all the song.
How about the Star Spangled Banner?
Whatever.
Yes.
What's this on top of your head?
A Canadian playing an American Star Spangled Banner. And bright stars. And the rocket's red glare, the bombers, boom, 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 boom. Was still there.